If you want to make sure you stay in good conversation, you gotta tune in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. That's me, Thursday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on the only station, WHPR TV 33. See you soon. Welcome back. Thanks so much for staying consistently tuned in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. It's a little bit after the top of the hour, and we're continuing to have the dialogue about where are we with the dream. Are we there yet? You just heard the last conversation with Amos that he is suggesting that in order for us to move forward, we have to hold some folks accountable who are in office from a local perspective and not replacing the congressman. I would tend to believe that that conversation of replacing Kinlock doesn't address what the real issue is with how the people will have representation. And so maybe that's a great segue into another topic I want to introduce this hour is this whole H&M ad campaign. Maybe we're just so busy with busy work that it still doesn't change the immediate lives and the impact on the people in the communities because we're having different conversations. So everyone knows there was an uproar about this ad, H&M. If people even buy H&M, okay? But H&M ad that shows, you know what? We got a clip. Callers, I see you. I'm going to get to everybody, so don't go anywhere. Let me not have to explain it to you. Let's the clip do the work for us, shall we?
And now an apology from a global company. As you can see, it's an African-American boy wearing an H&M sweatshirt that says coolest monkey in the jungle. Now, we wanted to know how this picture could actually make it through. CBS 2's Audrina Begas asked the experts.
The Swedish-based company with stores across Chicagoland is the latest global brand to come under fire. First, Nivea apologized and pulled this white is purity ad. Then, Pepsi pulled a commercial showing Kendall Jenner making peace with police by offering a can of Pepsi. And Dove apologized for this ad, saying they missed the mark in representing women of color.
These companies just don't learn from the past mistakes of others.
Mocha Marketing CEO Erica Reynolds says the answer for companies of all sizes is diversity.
People of color represented at the table in terms of, marketing teams, executive leadership.
Today, H&M issued an apology for this picture showing a black model wearing this hoodie. While the brand's campaign star, The Weeknd, said he will no longer work with the company.
It's surprising to me that nobody spoke up. The wardrobe selection process, the brand managers are in the room, to the post-production with graphic designers and final sign-offs. There's a lot of eyeballs that would have been on this ad.
Kathleen Henson leads the Henson consulting firm.
Brands need to pay attention and get diversity in the room when planning's occurring.
H&M has taken down the picture and says it is no longer selling that sweatshirt. In a statement, the company says, "We have got this wrong and we are deeply sorry." They also say they will investigate to find out how this happened. Rob and Erica.
How long did it take for them to actually come out with this statement apologizing? It wasn't immediate, was it?
It wasn't. That statement came out today. Most of the social media firestorm happened yesterday, but they are investigating.
Still makes you wonder how it could get through, though.
Really?
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Just wanted to share with us the clip, and thank you. That's from CBS News out of Chicago. I needed to add that. I just needed to add it. With everything that's happening right now, we're still fighting for equality. We're still fighting for freedom. We're still fighting for jobs. We're still fighting for fair housing. We're still fighting for clean streets. We're still fighting for fair representation. And we consistently are inundated with people who are using their power to create a narrative that we consistently buy into. So we consistently buy into that someone else is going to save us. We consistently buy into who they say we are, what we can and cannot do. So again, not missing the mark, I want us to then still think about, are we there yet? Are we living the dream of Dr. Martin Luther King? Or was it just that, and as I stated in the poem, so eloquently stated by Langston Hughes, Harlem, entitled, What Happens to a Dream Deferred? And so are we just so caught up in everything that's happening around us that we can't see the truths of how we get places and get things done? Or do we just believe that we can't get things done and it is just the way that it is? I want to know from you. That's our real conversation. Let me go back to the lines. Thanks for your patience. Good morning to you.
Hey, Collette.
Good morning.
You know, let's hit this H&M thing, and I want to let people know the sentiments of these people when they do this. They knew it was stupid before they did it. Keep that in mind. They knew it was dumb before they did it. And a lot of times they would do stuff and then whole game come out and just apologize. Now, here's the problem about them and their apologies. Like Bill Clinton said that, you know, his 3-strike law, they got it wrong.
Right.
He apologized. My problem with some Caucasians is they apologize for what they did to you, but they never do nothing about what they did to you. They never try to reparate you. They never try to fix it. They just leave it as is and just say, I'm sorry.
Sure. Well, stay there for 1 second. Stay there for 1 second. Let me just say, they apologize after the fact because then someone brings it to their attention. See, the truth is we're expecting that there's this sensitivity and there's this awareness that they have for us, this empathy. That's not what it is. In my other life in corporate America, I had agencies when I was national PR and special events manager for Pernod Ricard, specific to 2 major brands. All the agencies that they had for the brands specific to the African American community were Caucasian agencies. So the truth is, and to your point, I don't even believe that there was a consciousness to them to says if this was going to be offensive or not. They don't even think that way. So I had to sit in meetings with people trying to tell me how to best market a product to people that look like me. And we're totally confrontational and argumentative. And I'm like, and I had to say, I need to understand, are you offended because I am on the side where I make the decision of what the narrative looks like and I'm telling you it's wrong and you're not going to depict that for people that look like me? And or are you offended that then I'm even questioning the fact that you believe that you can create a narrative for us that's better than what I can create for us and you've never walked in our shoes? And I think the H&M example just shows just that. So he's a black boy. He's a monkey. Why wouldn't he be the coolest monkey? Why wouldn't you have put him on? Because there's another clip that shows the young man that's a model, the white boy. He's the safari survivalist. He's a survivalist. So why wouldn't you have put the white boy in the monkey shirt and then put the black boy in the survivalist? So it's just how we are indoctrinated to things. And then to your point, then to try to hold people accountable for our narrative. So why are we, I mean, do we not understand that that's how they see us, or we expect that 400 years plus out of slavery that it's supposed to be different, that we still aren't perceived as monkeys and we still aren't perceived as less than and we still aren't perceived as we can think and we're only good to be athletes and entertainers?
Well, you know, Collette, that monkey stuff and all of that, those are what white America believe to be hurt buttons for us. They know that at best, if you compared us to them, we don't look like no monkey before you would think they do. To them, they know that those are hot button hurt words, action words, words to get a quick jerk out of African Americans. So we know, as a black person, you should know that a white person looks more closer to the monkey than you do. So it shouldn't bother you to see some of that stuff. But here's where I like to go.
Okay.
Let's look at Martin Luther King's dream.
Sure.
The reason why H&M can do that is because of the dream. Okay. The reason why Donald Trump can be Donald Trump is because of the dream.
Okay.
Because in the dream, there was no accountability for white America.
Yeah.
He never called them out in the dream. Yeah. He made the dream so broad that it stretched across so many diameters that it took the blame off of white people for what they done to black people, and it grouped everyone together and said, we all need to love. Yeah. When the dream should have said, I had a dream one day that black men would not be hung because of sex with a white woman, and she lied on him, and her husband killed him. Yeah. I think the dream should have called white America out. The dream should have told white America's bad laundry about how they treat human beings, but instead the dream hit everybody who was doing something wrong instead of those who was doing the wrong. And at best, the speech is a good speech. It is inspiring.
Yes.
But it wasn't inspiring and compelling enough to make white America change their tune, because in that speech, if King would have said anything about revenge, he's not peaceful, he would have caught flack. But at the same time, they loved Dr. Martin Luther King for that. Yeah. I believe in the speech, it was almost like a call to be part of what the oppressor's doing versus a call to say to hell with what the oppressor's doing, and we have the numbers, we have the wherewithal, we have the talents to do this. I think something as great as that speech has turned out to be, there are things that's missing in that, which is why white America has never changed, because they found a black man who almost gave them a pass and spread their blame to other people.
Well, you know what, and stay there, and you make a great point. And so maybe, but see, I think that's a part of the problem that we have, is that we believe that the only dream could be that was articulated by Dr. King. So that can be one component of the dream. And then there was a dream from Malcolm X, and then there was a dream from Medgar Evers, and then there was a dream. So why can't it all be all inclusive, right? So, but I know why. Because at the end of the day, you can't get the money. You can't get the support. Because then you got to start looking at who was the bankroll behind the civil rights movement. Who was cutting the checks to create the narrative? Because remember, the narrative is always shaped by who controls the money. You always want to appeal to the people that you need support from. And so, do we not understand that that's what it is? Do we not get that? That's why I'll go back to the conversation that I had for us. I was suggesting that he who holds the money holds the conversation, creates the legislation to get things done. If they know that all we're going to do is talk about it and look back to them to fix it, and they've never fixed it, we consistently act like the hamster on the wheel. And so all I have to do is say, I'm sorry, and then you'll give me a slap on the wrist, and then tomorrow we'll forget about it. Because we'll talk more about the T-shirt with the monkey than we'll talk about the people in Flint who still don't have adequate drinking water. We'll talk more about the T-shirt of the monkey than the people who don't have adequate housing, than the young people who still don't have adequate education and are dealing with antiquated books and poor school conditions. We'll still talk about the monkey when our communities are dying because of lack of resources and the value that we believe we have, which hasn't changed our outcomes. We'll talk more about that and holding somebody else accountable than we then will look at ourselves and hold ourselves accountable for the environment that we are in. It is just not true.
In the add to that, I've challenged clothing companies who are of African American descent. Why is it that when you do clothes, that you choose a certain woman to promote your clothes? What is the difference in that? That you would take our sisters and almost strip them of everything when it comes to clothing just to sell a rag.
Sure. Because you know why. So stay there. 6-4, you know why. Because again, there is no original thought in these Americas. Everything that we regurgitate has been taught to us. So our images of beauty, they have taught to us. The images of how to engage in a consumer, they have taught to us. It's no different than when you all watch those entertainment shows and what does a guy say? Well, you need to look more like this than look like that. You need to have, as an entertainer, you have to have music that sounds like this instead of that. You won't be able to live the American dream if you are truly authentic to yourself because they won't allow it. So because we know that, why are we still acting like we don't? And how does that get us any closer to the dream?
I don't think it's I'm convinced that it is not a dream. Okay. And because when I listen to the words, it's not a dream of mine to sit next to white folks and eat with them. It's not a dream of mine to sit next to anybody and eat with them who does not genuinely like me. Okay. And if you are of that type of mentality that you can't get along with humans, then it sucks to be you. But I'll tell my people this. We have given in too long, far too long, to their way of the democratic process. And their way of democracy is I can kick you, I can kill you, I can spit on you, I can step on you. And the only thing you're going to do is take me through a process to prove that I'm guilty of it. And that is what they have been doing and still doing to this day because the speech did not call them out and hold them accountable and make them really, really look at themselves. That's why I always talk about Stokely Carmichael's Black Power speech. Because of all, that was the speech that called white folks out. That was the speech who told white folks, y'all need to get it together.
Well, wait. Six. And stay right there, and then I gotta move on after I say this and let you comment. But why do we have to hold a mirror up to them when they know who they are? They have been consistent through all of this. White folks were consistent in agreeing majority to slavery because it created the wealth in the South. It didn't change. White folks have been consistent in fighting black folks for civil rights. It has not changed. Everything who we have right now and the conversations from everyone as a collaborative have shown who they believe themselves to be, and it has not changed then. It won't change now. And so why do we expect that just because we keep showing up this mirror to them that they're going to change? They don't have to. They never have. Never have.
And they won't. And the mirror, you know what, Collette? The mirror is not to make them change. The mirror is to get them out of your face. Get that one.
But guess what? We can't do that.
That's to get them out of your face.
We can't get them. So guess what? And when we do that, does that remove them out of our face? They just do something else that exerts their authority. Because we can't work together. I guess maybe that's where I'm trying to get us back to all of this, is that at the end of the day, we keep trying to, we have all these examples that show how they still work together. Guess what? They still work together. So all those people that were sitting in that room as elected officials listening to President Trump, they're still elected officials, forgetting that they represent groups of people, forgetting that the groups of people that they represent are, in probably large instances, people of color or immigrants. And then they didn't speak up and say anything different. They didn't represent and realize that I'm representing people that this has an immediate impact on. They still sat there and listened to him and snicker about it. And it's still as status quo. So it is not changing anything. So then what do we do is what I'm saying. They consistently work together. So as much as everybody knows who Donald Trump is, he ain't out of office. I tell everyone, if that had been President Obama, he would have been gone. Wouldn't have even had a chance. You hear me? He could sit up there the whole first year and not do anything. He could sit the whole first year in office and not do anything and can count that was on public record the $35 million that he got in, not really saying then how much he really has gotten in from other deals, but he could sit the whole year, not do anything. You got Republican-based both forms of government where you could have been pushing all kinds of legislation, haven't done anything, and you're still sitting there.
Hey, you're right about that, Collette. That's the underlying to all of it, to all of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we still aren't working together amongst ourselves to realize how we can do better. And right, take that example. Take the examples that they show us. They show us what to do. We want to emulate them in every other aspect and have a conversation with everything else and to try to get them to understand that we matter. But unless we understood that we mattered, if we knew that we mattered, we would change the narrative to the conversation. I appreciate your call. Got to get everybody else in. Thanks for your patience. Good morning to you. Are you there, caller?
Good morning, Queen.
Good morning, King.
Excellent subject as usual, Queen. You always own it.
Thank you.
And Queen, you know what you're saying. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
And for some reason, most of us can't seem to understand really what you're actually saying.
Okay.
And what you know, the way I see it, Queen, is understand Donald Trump. Understand, he's the 45th president of these United States.
Yes.
You have the number 4 and 5 that equals 9. 9 is the number of completion.
Right.
And when you think about it, a woman only carries a child 9 months.
Yes.
And so what you're hearing coming from Donald Trump is birth pains. And the birth pains is that black people understand have actually, become a burden to America. And we don't want to see it as that. But as America's deficit continues to grow and grow and grow, no jobs, they don't have jobs for white people. No. So they don't have, we're definitely left out. And Queen, we don't seem to understand really what's going on, you know, and Donald Trump understand, he's, as the minister said, he's peeling back the incivility of white people. Yeah. He's bringing out the racism that was hidden. Long as they were comfortable, they was able to hide how they really felt. As you just said, they never really changed, Queen.
No.
They only put on an act.
Yes.
And they showed acts of kindness to us or whatever. But Queen, the bottom line, it's like even Martin King. Martin, the 63 speech and going to 68, if you listen to him, it was totally different.
Okay.
He had said his dream had become a nightmare. Yeah. He said that if he had felt that he would pulling us into a house that was burning, and that God had set the house on fire. Okay. And so we got to be able to read all of this, Queen, and we're not, Queen, we're not doing it. Right. But it doesn't bother me what Donald Trump said, because I know it's going to take worse things than that to get us to get up to do what we need to be doing, Queen. You know, he called our women female dogs, and nobody said nothing. Yeah. Nobody said anything. Nobody corrected him anything. He didn't apologize.
No.
So it doesn't bother me, Queen.
King, stay right there. And you make a real... King, stay right there.
A dog that's so loyal that he's willing to go and get the bird that the hunter shoots and bring it back, and all he gets is bones.
Right.
This is the way we are in America.
Right.
But see, God is going to force us to separate. He's going to, whether we like it or not, Queen, this is what's happening right before our very eyes. America no longer take care of us. Jonah was spit up on land.
Right.
That's us. Lazarus, God had to kill the rich man in order to get Lazarus up from the gate.
Okay.
This is us, Queen. I mean, you own it. I don't know what, like I will continue to say, it's going to take more and more floods in California, fires in the West, storms on the East Coast. Right. It's going to take more and more in that, because he's bringing rich folks down. We will all be equal soon, understand? And then we will have to do something for ourselves.
And you know what, King?
Queen.
And thank you, and I love you, and I want you all to stay there.
Have a blessed day, Queen.
Have an amazing day as well. He brought something. He said, King said something that brought to my remembrance, and I want to put it out there for us to think about as well. As much as Donald Trump said he didn't want Haitians or people from other African countries or El Salvadorians to come in, do we think the same thing? Do people of color think the same thing about other people? So was there somewhere people having a conversation and saying, yeah, I agree. I don't want Haitians coming in here. I don't want people from Ethiopia coming in here. I don't want Nigerians coming in here. Were there other people of color saying that? Because I'd venture to say that the truth is we haven't helped each other. Black folk in America don't identify with people in Haiti. Black folk in America don't identify with people from other African countries. If so, we would have had an ongoing, larger conversation. So if we are disconnected with the people because their skin color looks like ours, and we don't take up the causes, and we don't fight to have the conversations, why then do we expect for them to do it? I just wonder, did you think about that? But then I could say, well, we can't expect to speak up for someone else in another country because we don't speak up for each other here. We separate ourselves from each other here. They've trained us well. We won't support each other here. How's that? We won't. We won't have a plan and everyone just play their position so that everybody can eat, so that everyone can do well. That's why we have a church on every corner, because everyone has a different doctrine and an interpretation and everybody else wants to lead. We have a church on every corner, but the communities are still raggedy. Wouldn't that be great if every church on that corner bought up the vacant houses on the block in which they resided in and then put their parishioners in those houses? Wouldn't that just be great? So then you could say individually, I have a plan and I'm doing something better. But then when you have a conversation, they'll say, well, that's not what God told me to do. I'm just asking. Like, so if we can't be good to each other, maybe that's, everyone, thank you. Because maybe that's a part of the dream. So the dream was articulated that we could have this great nation where everyone has a level of equality. But the truth is, was it for us to look internally and say, how are we supposed to treat each other? Do we value ourselves to then treat each other the same way? As the caller said yesterday, Saeed said yesterday, you know what? We did better when we were separate because we had to depend on each other. So guess what? I might agree with you, but we all we got. So we got to work it out. But because we're now in this bigger dynamic of who America is supposed to be, and now we can live everywhere and do everything, that we don't have to depend on each other the way that we did before. And we don't have to figure out how to make it work. Like, we're not going to leave this room without us agreeing how it's going to work. We don't do that anymore. Oh, you guys, thanks. We're thinking. We're having the conversations. Appreciate your patience. Great morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to pull your attention to the executive order 13603 that Obama signed. And under this executive order 13603, everything you own can be taken away under the guise of national security. This order rips our Constitution to shreds. One person has all the power. Are we really living as free people, or are we living under dictatorship? Was it not more than 70 years ago that an ugly, short, mustache man did the same thing in Europe? Leave you with burning. This should leave you with burning question. What is the real purpose of this executive order? I think the dream is it should be an awakening to understand that these people have changed places with us, and they have used it against us. Every other group practices Kwanzaa but us. But yet it's supposedly originated from us. So if you look at the circumstances, everything these people got, it was because they studied us. And so now we need to dig back deep into the archives of history and to understand where we came from in order for us to build back our true identity and our capabilities to be there for each other.
I appreciate it.
So we can be powerful. We need to reverse the curse.
I absolutely agree. And the truth is, you said it, we have forgotten the power that we have. We built America, everybody. So imagine under the oppressiveness of slavery, we still created millions upon millions, and we created the South so much so then that was creating the war from the North, because the South was receiving all the funds and the revenues, and that they wanted some of that labor. We created that under oppressive conditions. So could you imagine what we create if we aren't oppressed to that degree? That if we could be in a space,
and they're still building wealth off of the free labor that was that they took from us. So
Yes.
we are the powerful people because it took them to come into our camp to take everything as far as our culture, our nature, our intelligence, our brains. So we have to understand that we have to tear those chains off the brain.
Yes. Yes. If we want a different result, everyone,
Yes.
we have to take the shackles off.
Yes.
And guess what? And we have to live in a truth that makes us acknowledge that we're shackled. Let me just say
Yes.
that. Because I think a lot of times we get mad. We get mad when we have the conversation. We hear some people say that we are still shackled.
That's right.
It's okay,
But
everybody. You don't have
you
to
have to
get
be
up in
free
arms. Right. Just look at it for what
and
it is.
knowledge.
Yes. Yes, everyone. Yes. Be
People be looking
truthful.
at you crazy when you try to tell them we're living on a prison planet, where
Yes.
folks have been able to be cunning enough to come to take and boldly set up their armies and navies and police. It's like we're living in a police state.
Yes.
All of a sudden, they're policing all right because their thieves came in for keeps.
Yes. Yes. And we make a great point too, because again, everyone makes a comparative. I'm going to Detroit politics now, but it's no different than President Trump. With Detroit politics, everyone wants to put the position and the finger on Mayor Duggan, the Mayor Duggan, Mayor Duggan, Mayor Duggan. Again, the power is not with Mayor Duggan. Do you all realize what the role of a mayor is? You all have just elevated him to all kinds of levels. I mean, so what? Now the mayor tells the council what to do. The mayor sits and talks with the governor about what to do. The mayor goes and talks to state elected officials about what to do. Did you all forget what this is supposed to look like? And then we get mad at the outcome. When you've given your power away, that's what happens. All you do is sit back and go to the job, get your check, live for the weekend, and complain. That's what
Stay
you
on
do.
that hamster wheel.
It's the hamster on the wheel.
It's a hamster wheel.
It's the hamster wheel, unless we're honest enough. And hear me, I'm not saying that is not the situation that majority of us have to be in order to create something else. You use one situation to create something else. The issue is we don't create the something else. We sit and then say, okay, because you're going to end up giving me a pension, and then you're going to give me the Social Security, so I'm going to work these 60 years, and then I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to get this money because this is what you promised me because you're going to take care of me, and then that's it. How's that working for us? We're being stripped
right now.
Yeah, we're being
Social Security. They stole your pension.
We're being stripped.
They rough shot on them pensions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so they're showing us. So at any given time, and you make the great point that it's the illusion of a democracy under a dictatorship.
That's what it is. And so you have to set yourself free, but you have to take the shackles off your mind because you asking your enemy to come and save you when he's in place to enslave you.
Yes. Yes. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. But it is. But it is. And so I'm asking us today, as she so eloquently said, what's wrong with us changing the narrative? Why do we have to consistently fight to get out of... Well, actually, we're fighting to try to get in their box. Why do we fight to get in their box? Why
you keep playing the same game and you getting played and they getting played.
It's the same game that we can't win. That's like fighting the devil. Right?
Exactly. You told him to put the fire out, and his job is to put the fire on you.
That's it. So you think you going to get in that boxing ring and you're going to be victorious? Why even step in the ring? That's like Yana Van Zandt used to say, when you see crazy coming, don't open the door.
Right.
But we just invite all of this stuff in because you want to believe that you can defeat it, when history has shown us that trying to do things their way doesn't work for us. That's why we have so many of us are locked down in prison situations. That's why we have so many of us who have disproportionate homes with a mom and a dad in the house. That's why we have so many of us raising children by ourselves, because we keep trying to do things the way that they do them. as opposed to saying, you know what, it's okay. I see you over there. You go ahead and keep doing that, and I'm going to do something over here. And it could be totally foreign to you, totally new, but you have to separate what it is that you believe is best for you versus what it is you've been told what to do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Constantly being infiltrated, manipulated, castrated, recruited, self-serving, self-hating coons are working for the racist goons. So they got us everywhere but loose, but you have to set yourself and your mind free in order to make that dream come to reality.
Yes. It's really that simple, you all. If indeed you want to have a different life. And if indeed you say that you don't, not a problem. But you can't get mad at where you are. What did they say? You all knew you gave the little parable about the snake, and it was in the ground, and it was cold, and the rabbit let the snake in, and then said, oh, okay, for a little bit of time. And then the snake made himself at home, and the rabbit was like, no, you got to leave. And the snake's like, but you know I'm a snake. I'm a snake. So when you know who the snake is, why do we keep thinking that the snake isn't going to bite us? Every chance that we get that the snake is not going to keep being a snake. And we keep wanting to go and play with the snake. It's a snake. It doesn't change. You can't domesticate a snake.
That's right.
So we want to say, okay, well, I got them from the pet store. Someone got them from the wilderness, and I got them in the pet store, and I got them in my house, and I'm going to domesticate this snake, and we're going to be friends, right? So I feed them, and I do all this kind of stuff, and then one day I can pet him, and then I can have him around my collar if he's a boa constrictor, and then when he starts choking you out, you get mad and want to be upset with the snake. He's a snake.
That's right. Yep. You're going to go to your enemy and say, please, baby, please, ease up the fire. They just going to say, okay, we'll ease it up for a minute. And as soon as you turn your back, they throw another flame at you.
Absolutely. And so as we go into 2018 and as we go into acknowledging the speech of I have a dream, I just really want us to have the real conversations of if indeed you have a dream, what is your dream? What are your plans to get there? And if you actually believe that you can get there by looking to someone else to do the work.
That's right.
And if indeed you feel that your outcome has to be based on somebody else, I want you to truthfully ask yourself, how's that working for you? How's that been working for you?
Exactly.
And then truthfully,
I know people going to get mad, but we've been voting and waiting on Jesus a long time. Yeah. And our children are suffering every day.
Every day.
The tragedy, crime against humanity, and the list goes on. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you so much for calling. I mean, everyone, that's where we are right now. Let me go to the lines. All the lines are lit. I promise I'm going to get you in. Thanks for your patience. Good morning to you.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Good morning.
Beautiful. Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. You ladies have really set the airwaves on fire this morning. I really appreciate the conversation. You guys did a great job. It's one of the things that you guys talked about was, waiting for someone to do something for you, and that conversation just doesn't need to stop. I mean, we need to separate ourselves from the activity of waiting for somebody to do something for us. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is called insanity.
Yes, yes.
And the white man has done a great job of pacifying us to the point where that has become our mode of daily operation. Yeah. So what we need to do is to take action. You don't see Chinese people, you don't see Jewish people, for the most part. You don't see Indian people coming over to this country asking for anything.
Right.
They come and they put into action their plan. Yes. But the thing is that the difference between them and us is that they have not been robbed of who they are, their culture, or their work ethic. Yes. And so what we need to do is we need to, once again, separate from the mindset and start taking action. Yes. And I really don't have a lot to say because you guys really said so much and was so powerful this morning. I'm going to take that back myself. Okay. But I really do believe that instead of using Martin Luther King as a way to pacify us, we need to take this day and reverse it and make it into a day of action when it comes to
our future and moving forward with our political or our economic or with our need to educate our own selves and our own people. We're not reading every day. If we're not growing, and we're the same people that we were 50 years ago, always complaining about something but never actually doing anything, with the monkey sweatshirt and things of that nature. Of course, you're going to complain. You're going to say something. But ultimately, you're going to still continue to shop there. What's the point of complaining if you're not going to do anything about it?
Right.
So, what we need to do is we need to if you say you want change, you can't do the same thing that you were doing that caused the incident in the first place. So you have to change the way that you think, and you have to begin to move in a different direction. The last point I want to make is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that why does the black man love the white man? Because he gives him nothing. And we must learn to understand that concept, that only we can give us what we need.
Absolutely.
Not them.
Oh, God bless. Absolutely. And you know what? And maybe, and I'm going to say this, and I don't want us to take this the wrong way, is that sometimes we want to be so grand in our actions. And I think that we miss how we can take little steps, right? So you don't have to have this big old platform. And I appreciate a young lady, Kim, great morning to you. And I want to say a great morning to Robert as well. But Kim, great morning to you. Because this young lady started my show yesterday. It's dark outside when we start. She showed up to the station because she wanted to meet me. She's called in, she's watched, and so she has some ideas that are birthing in her, and she wanted to know would I be open to listening to her ideas. And I told her that for the simple fact that you weathered this weather, you came here in the dark for a chance to be able to meet me, to just ask me, would it be okay? Absolutely. Because sometimes it is the simple thing that you start with and then have the conversation with someone who can help us take it to another level, because we have all the models, everyone. It could be as simple as where you live right now, especially if you're in this region and you still can get houses for just minimal prices. If you live right now on your block, it could be 3 houses that are abandoned on your block. You could say to your block members, block clubs, because we still have them, tax time is coming. Why don't we create a group that we're going to buy these houses, rehab them, and put residents in them? It can be that simple. It is literally that simple, because you all know everyone is getting ready for tax time. Everybody's waiting to get that $5,000, $10,000 back. What are you going to do with it? It starts there.
Exactly.
It starts with understanding that, guess what? I can't truly save unless I get rid of my debt. So if the plan is to eradicate your debt, function in what you know the society functions with. So we function on credit. So if I know that I can eradicate my debt, I can increase my credit. I can use my credit worthiness then to use your monies and do things that I need to do to then work to create my wealth. Start there. Start with a plan. The little things, you all. So it doesn't have to be this grandiose thing, because sometimes, like, what do they say? How do you eat an elephant? One little bite at a time. But we have the models, but you have to live in the truth of how to make it work for you. One step at a time. One step. But you got to be truthful about where you are right now, where we stand right now, in this moment right now. And consistently saying that we want someone to save us is not going to work. Doesn't work.
That's an excellent point.
So appreciate your call. Thank you so much. Make today amazing. I'm going to get these last 2 callers in before we have to bid adieu. Great morning to you. Thanks for your patience. Good morning.
Good morning, lovely lady. How are you?
Fine. Amazing man.
Well, you said it earlier, though, Claudette. We can only rely on ourselves, and I don't think that blacks should be insulted, feel insulted when people call them monkey. You can take any animal on earth that has hair on it and shave it, and their skin is white. All beast skin is white. I don't know how much you know about this, but you know Donald Trump has nearly halted the construction of Obama Library. Now, this happened yesterday. It was on yesterday's news. He's talking about putting it underground. Can you believe that? He's interrupted the construction of a presidential library in Chicago. And this morning on the news, when they was talking about immigration, he said, why should we let them immigrants from them SHI, you know, the last
holes,
whole countries come here?
Yes.
But the reason these people can talk about us like a dog is because most Europeans don't even know the history of black people.
Right.
Europeans don't even have a 1,000-year history. And what little history they do have, it only consists of them diseasing and killing and running black people off their land. Europeans don't have no history.
Right.
The only history they got is killing you and running you off your land. That's what their entire history consists of.
Yes.
Everything else that's out here came out from black people. Our problem is we're relying on a vote.
Yeah.
Voting to get things done ain't nothing but a pipe dream. We got our voting rights in 1965.
Nice.
At the end of the Civil War, the North made a deal with the South that for 100 years, we're to have all the jobs.
Right.
And they formed a union to keep that in place. That's why you didn't even get any civil rights until 1965. From 1865 to 1965. That was the $100 deal.
Yeah.
And as long as he got you believing in a white man called Jesus Christ in the voting system, you will always be exactly where you are now.
Okay.
What we need to do is form that $7 a month association, and you go run it. You're a business lady. You can handle it. We can get a lot of things done. You understand? But as long as you're relying on them, the voting system, and a price, you ain't going nowhere. Yeah. And thanks for taking my call.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's true. And guess what, everyone? Even if you don't want to put the $7 into a group, put the $7 back into your household. Invest that money. Put that money aside to, A, handle your debt, and then put the money away for the children. We're going to talk about that because we're really going to become financial stewards this year. I'm going to present some things to us that is going to help us work to our potential as it pertains to money management. So we're going to get in that. I'm going to get this last caller for today. Thanks for your patience. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Now, I guess you can hear my head on speaker.
Yes.
You know, for 52 years, I was active in the struggle.
Yes.
All of a sudden, the Civil Liberty Union won a lawsuit saying you could get your red files back.
Okay.
And when I got my red files back from the FBI, I noticed the meetings I had with the black nationalists, who I helped create the Republic of New Africa at that time. They was full of FBI around the nationalist groups.
Okay.
So I started studying them.
Okay.
And I heard people say we're going to separate.
Okay.
I said, okay, let me see. What country can you take 47 million blacks?
Okay.
No country in the world. And now you definitely can't because they're all in economic crisis. They ain't we can't go, and all the land is occupied, right?
Okay.
In this country, where can we separate?
Okay.
You think the Michigan, the white folks gonna move out? So and you got to have 4 or 5 states for 47 million blacks to separate.
Okay.
So I found out we can't separate.
Okay.
When you look at it real, look at it. What can we separate? Then after we separate, how we gonna have water and all this stuff? You cannot do it. And then I found out they had no program. And I suggest to everybody, get a phone call. Look at the back of the paper on number 4. And it says, due to the white man slaved us, that he should take care of us for 25 years till we get on our feet. Asking the white government for welfare.
Okay.
And they got no program. And the reason I pulled up on the Muslims is because the Muslims, they started the only revolutionary period we have in this country.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do.
Malcolm wasn't militant.
Brother Tyrone, this is what I want to do.
King
Because
was militant.
Hold on, because our time
backwards.
Okay, so
and that's the only movement that the masses of black people took over and was leading white people. Where you had in 1963 in 800 cities, demonstrations like they had in Birmingham in 1963.
Okay, so I want to stop you. Okay, so Brother Tyrone.
It was stopping the whole economy of this country.
Okay, so
That's only history, revolutionary history, but the black Muslims and black nationalists of all shades that got no program, and the masses of blacks never catered to them because they was really the FBI's in our community. Stokely Carmichael could not travel Africa because when he married McKeefer, who was an African singer, they found out he was an agent, and that's why she divorced him.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so Brother Tyrone.
The white man was the black nationalist. And so that's what I'm hearing on this program. If you want to know Martin Luther King,
I'm sorry. Now, Brother Tyrone, and I just had to put you on hold because I'm going to wrap up. I appreciate, I know where you're going. You said that we can't be separatists. You're going to go and bring up some issues of the final call and the Muslims. And I really didn't have a chance to let you finish or get to what your point was. If we're living this dream, what you believe the dream looks like, what your plan is, because I have heard that you have this plan. So how are we enacting this versus giving all the history about what we're doing wrong? And so where I'm going to end up today is I'm going to give you all, again, the poem Harlem by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like an heavy load, or does it explode? I'm asking us yet again to re-examine what our dreams look like. Do you have a dream for you? Do you know where you want to go? Are we conscious enough to deal in our truths and then create an action plan to make it better for ourselves? So we'll continue to have that conversation. I want you all to have an amazing day. I want you to think and grow rich. I want you to be committed to educating, enlightening, and empowering yourselves and everyone that looks like you. So make it amazing. Appreciate your time. Don't turn the dial. There's more to come on WHPR TV 33. See you later.